spring, there was a little bit of rain that came along, a little bit of weather. In fact, if you look around the country, there's been some changing patterns. I don't know about your basement, but when you go downstairs and all of a sudden you're looking there going, hey, what's going on? Kind of one of those feelings where you feel overwhelmed, you feel like the world is crushing in on you, you feel like there's weather that is just, what is it that's out of your control? It just feels almost kind of crazy. It's almost one of those feelings that you say, okay, well, what am I going to have to do to recover from this? And you go into this mode of just responding. Fortunately, I didn't have to deal with that in my basement. The other day, in fact, yesterday, the day before, my daughter, my older daughter is 17, and she's working at the ice cream store, some of the job she does, ice cream, and she had a customer came in, ordered a double fudge chocolate brownie in a cone, and then he got the cone and proceeded to pass out and went into almost the rest. She had to call 911 to, and they showed up with the body armor, the police were there, the fire department was there. My daughter is like, she was responding. She's responding to life, responding to what happened. Sometimes you look at it and say, well, I don't know what I would have done. She's not going to take a CPR class because she feels that she needs to. But when you look at things that happen or where you're at in life, sometimes it feels like the world is crushing in on you. And in software, in software, there's a lot of times when you're coming close to the delivery of something where you just feel that crushing. You ever felt where you've got to get this into production, this company, everything's going to have to work, and if it doesn't work, and you're working and it's 2 in the morning and you know that deal for this code to fix, you've got to make this thing work. That's going on for me right now because I've got a project I'm working on for a friend. And it's an interesting, it's a startup kind of a project where we're building a new kind of software that doesn't exist. It's inventing a new way to communicate between people in the agriculture business, between growers and then the people that make the machinery or the seeds or the other parts that the growers are using. And we're providing some video chat communications and some interesting technologies. But the thing about it is that I came into this with the idea of I could help him take his dream and make it into a product and deliver it out into the world. This was 3 months ago. We started out with a nice gentle path. We started building out code and build out websites. I decided to use MVC because that's the pattern. I thought I could learn something new. Guess what? I'm learning something new. I'm getting paid to learn something new. I like that. It's something I'm interested in. It's something that I've been talking about web development forever, but to get up and actually get paid to learn how do I do these different types of things and then become more and more expert by virtue of that. That is a good use of my time and energy. And so when my wife says you're just getting so busy, how are you going to keep up with everything that's going on? I tend to look back and say, okay, well, it is because this is a cool problem. How many people have built MVC applications? So if you're an MVC developer, great. You understand all of this stuff. But for those of us that came from the web performance days, or maybe just simple HTML, or maybe built a little website here or there, there's a lot of concepts that are new and that you have to understand inside of MVC to really make it all work. And for me, it's kind of the realization of how do I crystallize those ideas. For instance, inside of a web page, you have HTML that comes out. It's got HTML and cascading style sheets and all design out how things work. There's Bootstrap, which is a nice responsive framework for designing your layout. You can columns, you can have it shrink up so it's good on a phone and make it wide. The TechMaster website is a responsive design site, so it's got nice, real nice. Well, doing that with Bootstrap, you have to understand how do I make these different things come together. And so I'm putting my head around and trying to figure out how do I take this concept where I've got a video player and a chat window going on and my wife make it fit well in a smaller format. And at the same time, I've got data going in and out. So the first concept is how do you make it responsive? The second one is how do I get data in and out of that form? Now, web forms, or the old style web pages, we would just put variables and then you've got code behind it, automatically all that magic happens and it just blinks. Then we see we have to come back and say, okay, well, I've got this pattern. Well, do controller. It might be like a view model. What's a view model? Right? Oh, wait a second. View models are sort of important, and it took me a little bit to figure out, okay, data going in and out of a web page has to have some structure to it. So it says what's going in and out. So my view model will have things like annotations, data annotations that describe what that data looks like. What are the fields? How does it come in? And then inside of my page, I can actually describe up how that data is going to be used for different things. But the data coming in from using the view model also includes validation rules. I can put whatever else I need to, but it will use that marked up data to help understand how to lay that out. So now that I've got my data there and I've got my behavior attached to the view model, how do I get it back to the controller so that I can work with it, right? So I've got my form. Form and page, by the way, you can have more than one form on a page. It's not just one form. So like for instance, I've got a pop-up mobile that's going to send an email. And I was working on this last night. I just thought it was kind of fun to talk about. The form, the pop-up form for mobile for sending an email, I've got email name and whatever else, and I want to send that, is in a subform within a form, or it's a separate form. And so when I push the data back, I've got values going back and forth. On the post of that form, we've got a button that says submit this form. It takes the values that are inside of that, and only what's inside of that will get passed back. It is made out of pairs. So then on the form controller, on the receiver inside of that, it has to have something instructions that lays out what is the data coming in. And I know these are kind of abstract ideas at some level, but they're also just understanding the core pieces, the fundamentals. These are questions that are so simple. I hate to ask someone who knows MVC because it makes me look really dumb. I hate for that to happen. It's better to remain silent and thought, a fool rather than go open your mouth and remove all the talent. But the idea is to try to clarify and crystallize these ideas. And the neat thing about this project and about this weather and about all this pressure, about all this stuff that seems like it's just piling down on me is that it did give me a chance to crystallize it from honestly learning something new. And to be able to take that new thing, turn it around and add it to my life, to my life experience, so that the next time I get called and say, hey, could you go and do this or could you go and do that? I can say, okay, well, let's take what we've learned, put it up here, and let's see how we can use it. And just be smart about thinking how we can apply this going forward. So the next time that you're up to your ankles, and your feet are square in the air, and you're wondering which way is up, think about life's lessons